I'm photographer David duChemin, and this is Vision is Better, a sometimes weekly podcast about the craft and art of photography. Welcome here. Hey, this is episode 54 of Vision is Better. I just finished watching a podcast by a guy named Ted Forbes, The Art of Photography, and he said something that got me a little defensive at first, and I have found that when I get defensive, there's usually a kernel of truth that I need to kind of unpack. And he said that nobody really cares about your photography and about my photography. And as I said, I was defensive at first, and I realized he's right. Nobody does care about our photography. Intrinsically, our photography is very self-interested. I think that our efforts to create thousands of photographs to populate our Instagram feeds and our Facebook pages is inherently self-interested. And we do it because we want to play with the toys. We do it because we want to be out in the world experiencing things. We do it because even because we want the likes and the hearts and whatever else it is on our social pages that tells us that other people are paying attention to us. The problem is, most people are probably not paying attention to us. Most people, most photographers, are speaking to other photographers. And what we're saying to those other photographers, the implication is, here is the work I'm doing. Isn't it great? And they click it, they like it, they do whatever. But they're looking at it from a very self-interested perspective as well. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for that new thing. And it's not so much that they're paying any attention whatsoever to the content, the actual the message of our photography, as they are the form of our photographs. And even when it's the so-called content, they're looking at it, and here's a great example, the Iceland effect. Every photographer wants to go to Iceland, and it's no wonder that most of us are creating, myself included, very homogeneous work. We go for a week or two and we photograph in all of the same places, all of the same waterfalls, roughly the same shutter speed, and we are coming back with very similar photographs. And I've got to the point where I feel like if I see one more friggin' photograph of Iceland, I'll want to shoot myself. And that includes my own work. And I realize now, looking through my own work, that the stuff that resonates most with me is the stuff that I am doing because it calls deeply to me, and I can't not do that work. I don't do it because I saw it on someone else's Instagram feed. I do it because it's inherently, it pulls at me in the deepest possible way. I think creating content, in the internet world, it is said that content is king, and I think that's absolute garbage. I think anyone that is worried about creating content is probably not creating art. Content is something we create to pull people to our website. It's the artistic version of link bait. It's or clickbait or whatever it's called. It does not speak to the human heart. It's saccharine, and I think we are going to be the first generation that creates not art, but content. And I think that speaks to a certain vacuum in our culture, certainly in our generation. And I think, to get back to my point, I have two things that I want to say about the realization that Ted Forbes is right and that nobody cares about our photography. First of all, is that when you acknowledge that nobody cares about your photography, you are free to pursue your photography for your own means, according to your own agenda. And that freedom, I think, is significant. That freedom is something that every artist who has ever created anything meaningful has had. They are, even the stuff that's commissioned, the Sistine Chapel, it still comes from deep within the particular artist and is something they can't not do. And that is the spark, I think, of genius when it does, if it does show up. So acknowledging that nobody is interested in our photography is a great first step in liberating us to pursue the stuff that we want to. Yes, even if it's Iceland. But if it's Iceland, go back to Iceland and go back until your work begins to reveal something deeper, something more than just the saccharine photographs of softly falling waterfalls. pursue something, find something in there, find a deeper theme. If you want to go to every country in the world, fine, go to every country in the world, but pursue a theme. Find something that's deeper than just eye candy, because if I hear the word eye candy associated with one more photograph, I'm going to throw up. When was that a good idea? Candy is not something that sustains us. Candy does nothing but rot our teeth, and it gives you a quick shot, but nothing more. And I think we need to pursue something much greater than eye candy in our photography. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is that you have to make people care. People don't intrinsically come to your work with caring already in their bosom. They come to your work, if they're open at all, they come open and ready to receive whatever it is you're saying through your photography, and it's up to you to make them care. And that's where the role of craft and the role of vision comes in. You need to have something to actually say before you can say something. And that is why pursuing your vision is so important. That's why exploring and discovering your vision, sometimes rediscovering your vision, is so important. And it's why it's so challenging, because we're not just talking about making pretty pictures. There's nothing wrong with beauty. Someone recently said that the serious artists have long given up on beauty. I don't agree with that. I think we have fought wars for beauty, and I think the things that people pay the most for in this life in terms of dollars include some form of beauty. Beauty is important, but I think there's more than just beauty and pretty are not the same thing. There are beautiful pictures that are challenging to look at. There are beautiful pictures that are not easy to look at and are not just pretty pictures. So getting back to my point, I think the thing that the opportunity that we have in acknowledging that nobody cares about our photography is to liberate us to create work that we do for ourselves, and we have the opportunity to make people care by pursuing more intentionally our craft and saying something and making them care. It has always been the role of the artist to make a culture care about something, to open them to new questions. It has always been the role of the artist to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. And that's the challenge I want to leave with you today. It's not a depressing thing that nobody cares about our art. It's a question of where we take that. Do we take that to trying harder and harder to get people to our Instagram feeds? Or do we start saying something that is more important, that is more resonant with the human heart? Do we start doing things that are more important to us personally without regard for how many likes that our photograph will get? Because at the end of the day, I don't believe our generation's chief output will be gauged on how many likes it has. I hope that is the case. I hope we will create something that is more relevant, that is more of our generation, and says something about our time and place here, and does something more important than this somewhat narcissistic, at least solipsistic. There's your word for the day, solipsistic. We can do better than that. We can do better than the narcissistic effort to get people onto our Facebook pages. We can say something to this generation. We can show them something. We can ask more important questions. That's what I want to leave you with today. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, gear's good, but vision's better. We'll see you next time.